We have traveled land and sea, but exalted in the sea. As long as I am with you, my heart continues to beat. With every step we take, Kyoto to the bay, strolling so casually. We're different and the same, gave you another name, switch up the batteries. If you gave me a chance, I would take it. It's a shot in the dark, but I'll make it. So it's all that I want, you can't shame me. When I am with you, there's no place I'd rather be. No place I'd rather be. Set out on a mission to find out inner peace, lasting, nothing's incomplete. It's easy being with you, sacred simplicity. As long as we're together, there's no place I'd rather be. With every step we take, feel us to the race, strolling so casually. If you gave me a chance, I would take it. It's a shot in the dark, but I'll make it. So it's all that I want, you can't shame me. When I am with you, there's no place I'd rather be. 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 When I am with you, there's no place I'd rather be. Yeah.
My brother Olives and sister of Neighborhood Girls, welcome to BBYO Live. We're excited to welcome all of you to our global conversation. My name is Yossi Vogel, and I'm from Northern Region East, DC Council number 54. The Global Networking Committee has been working on ways that you can get more connected. BBYO Live is an opportunity for you to hear stories from teens in BBYO communities across the world, ask questions, and begin the conversations that spark lifelong friendships. If at any point during today's Hangout you want to ask a question, click on Be Part of the Conversation on YouTube or tweet using the hashtag #JoinTheGlobalConversation. 10 teens, 9 countries, 1 movement. It's time. Welcome to the Global Conversation. I'd now like to introduce our two hosts, Carly and Rena, who will take this conversation, who will get this conversation started.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Rena from Turkey. Thank you for joining us in our discussion. And first of all, I would like to thank everyone and all of these wonderful people on the call, and especially Yossi and Carly for making this a lot more easier for me, because if they weren't on this call right now, I probably would have been the same color as my t-shirt. Just to mention a little bit about my community, I come from a very small community. The population is less than the number of people at IC. Today, my role will be to host the call, and I will be asking the questions and try to keep this conversation going on. And I would like to now give the yield to Carly to introduce herself.
So, my name is Carly. I'm from Canada. I'll be one of your hosts today along with Rena. I'm 16 in grade 11, that's a junior. I go to public school in the suburbs in Canada. Besides school, I work, go to BBYO, hang out with my friends. In my school, all my friends are Jewish, and so is 95% of the population in the school. I live in a very Jewish neighborhood, obviously, where everyone is inclusive. I always feel safe and welcome. I've been a part of BBYO for just over a year, and I'm super excited to go to IC.
We'd now like to call on everyone else joining us today on this panel to introduce themselves one at a time. So Donna from Uruguay, take it away. All right, Ellen, take it away.
Hey everybody, my name is Ellen. I'm from Switzerland, Hagerschrim. I'm a leader there, so I'm really excited to speak to you all. Hope you enjoy it.
Marina, take it away.
Okay, hello everyone, my name is Marina. I'm 17 years old and I'm from Serbia. When it comes to BBYO, I've been in, my region is BBYO Balkans, and I've been a part of it for almost 2 years. And currently I'm on board for membership and further involvement. Hope you're going to enjoy this call.
Matt, take it away.
Hey everybody, my name is Matt Rabinowitz. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina in the United States. I'm really excited for this call. I think it's going to be really great to be able to share and compare our stories and different Jewish lives across the world, and I hope you guys love it.
Melu.
Hi, I'm from Argentina and I'm 18 years old and I'm really excited about this call and can't wait to talk to you all.
Sam from UK.
Hi, hi, I'm Sam Lawrence. Currently live in the UK, in England, and I've been part of BBYO for about 3 years, and I can't wait. I'm 16, and I can't wait to go through with this call.
Okay, now I would like to start with the questions, and Carly is going to ask the first question. Carly, by the way, please unmute yourself.
True. Okay. So the first question is, what is it like living day by day as a Jew in your community? Anyone feel free to answer, of course.
Okay, so I come from Serbia, and being a Jew in Serbia is not really easy because we don't have much support. So as a Jew in Serbia, what you have to do is, not only in my country, but in all BBYO Balkans countries, what you have to do is realize how important and interested it is that you are Jewish and that you should be proud of it and practice your Judaism on your own because you don't have that much support. So that's for my country, at least.
Okay, here in Argentina it's not really in Serbia because, for example, I've been to a Jewish school all my life and I also go around for I learn things in school, so all my life is kind of surrounded by Jewish people. I was a kid, so I think it's really easy for me to be Jewish and things that weren't so good for us.
I think it's really interesting hearing how different and perhaps harder it can be to live as a Jew in other countries, because in America and in North Carolina, while we're surrounded by so many non-Jews, Christianity is very prevalent and other religions are very prevalent, living as a Jew and in a Jewish community, it's almost easier because everybody is so together and everybody is so united under that minority.
But in Uruguay, as we are a small community, it's not difficult to be a Jew because we all support each other and we all know each other. And well, I go to a Jewish school, and all of us go to Jewish movements. So I think it's not that difficult.
In the UK, it's quite like different because it depends like where you live. But where I live, for the most part in my town, like a lot of people are Orthodox. Most people go to the Orthodox synagogue that's like within my town. but I mean, like, obviously me myself, I'm like conservative, but the Jewish population isn't big in the UK. Like, it's not one of the most like prevalent religions, but it's quite united. It's quite a united religion. People always come together, and it's really close knit. And I think one of the reasons for that is because it's quite small. So it's small, but like also strong at the same time.
That's awesome. And in where I am from, in my community, it's very different from the US and other countries where it's a lot more easier to express Judaism. But I find it very important in where I live to keep on the traditions and keep on the culture going on, because it is very easy for people to forget Judaism and this culture, because it's such a small it is such a small population, and it's a small community. So I think it is very important for us not to forget who we are. So that's basically it in Turkey.
Yeah, it's super interesting how the two hosts contrast. Where I'm from in Canada, our community is like so Jewish. Like I know so many people. I barely know anyone who's not Jewish. That I see on a day-to-day basis. So it's interesting to hear, of course, how everyone else lives. So the next question we have is, how does your society affect the way you practice Judaism in your community?
Please feel free to answer the questions.
I guess I can start. In North Carolina, like I said at the beginning, it's a predominantly Christian country. So at times we'll find that being surrounded by all those type of people, we may not be always so comfortable to practice our Judaism, perhaps more our cultural Judaism, in front of others. But have found all my life that being part of a community and with a community center, surrounded by Jews, living my day-to-day life with Jews, the more you practice living life the way you like to with those people, the easier it gets. And as you grow up to be our age, you can do it alone and you can do it every way you need to.
Can I just ask, like, just to reiterate, is this about to do with sort of like maybe anti-Semitism, or like how easy it is being Jewish?
Well, the main purpose of us writing this question is to understand how the community shapes the way that you think about Judaism. So if you have any insights about that, that would be great. So, for example, if you live in a conservative community, maybe your opinions are shaped that way. This is like an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool because I can, like, in a way, branch off of what Matt was saying, because I mean, I originally, I lived in America and I was from quite a Jewish community there. But moving here, it sort of shaped the way I sort of think of it, because being there for such a long time, we sort of think of it as sort of like some people go to synagogue from time to time, but it wasn't really a huge thing. But here, I think we feel more obliged to do it in the UK because we are a smaller community. And I think in a way that's a good thing, because it's like keeping like the flame like lit, sort of like, and the UK, the people who do practice Judaism in the UK, like, who are mostly my family, it puts a good outlook on Judaism, like how often it's practiced over here.
Thank you, Sam. And in this question, by the way, you can express the way that you feel about you can express what you believe in, or any other things.
Okay, so in Serbia, we don't, like, our Jewish community don't really have much support, as I already said, but I would say that people mostly don't care. Of course, we face some problems, such as anti-Semitism, but I guess that happens, so it's not a big deal. And we get support from, I mean, Jews get support from different organizations. Well, one of those is BBYO, also JDC and stuff like that. So, yeah. But like our society as our country my country, like I don't think that we have much support. So we pretty much have to do everything on our own.
So I know that in my community personally, we have a lot of interreligious communication and collaboration, and there's a lot of times that Jews and Jews in my specific community engage with the overall community and participate in programs with people from other religions, other nationalities. I'm wondering what role interreligious collaboration has where you live, and what relations you guys have with your overall community.
So here, I think it's really up to each family whether to raise children Jewish or not, because we have options for everyone. Although our country is not really as a government Israel or the Jewish community, and also 1992, 1994, we had terrorist attacks towards Jewish buildings. So I think that kind of like shaped the way the Jewish community is nowadays, because I know I live because consequences of those terrorist attacks. So most of the people who decide to be an active Jewish here, I think those two attacks made people realize how big of a deal is to like live in active society, like shape the way we are Jewish here.
Mm-hmm. And for example, in my community, it is known as an Orthodox community, but I believe that it's far from Orthodox. Our culture is Orthodox, but the way that people practice religion is definitely not. And I have no idea how that affected me as to answer the question. But if anyone else wants to comment on what the other people said, or maybe add something to the conversation, is always welcomed. And by the way, as a reminder, people who are listening to this call, you can always send your comments and questions using the hashtag #JoinTheGlobalConversation.
Ren, I actually have a question for probably the people in the more Jewish-friendly countries, but knowing that, like, where I grew up, I went to a Jewish day school for, I think, 7 years, and how easy that was for me and how much that influenced my Jewish identity. How does the ease or the difficulty in being Jewish form, like, how you view your Judaism? Maybe even the countries where it is more difficult to be Jewish, like in Serbia.
So are you asking to the people who live in a Jewish-friendly place, or the opposite?
Actually the opposite, now that you mention it.
Oh. Okay.
But any of course, any answer is wonderful.
Maybe you can repeat the question. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, go for it.
No, I'm saying, Matt, can you repeat the question? I was asking the same thing.
I'm just curious as to, because where I grew up, I went to a Jewish school, and because I was able to go to that Jewish school, creating my Jewish identity was a lot easier. So I'm curious, as for people in other countries that being Jewish maybe isn't as easy, or maybe it's even easier than it is for me, how your childhood growing up as a Jew made it the way it is today. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I didn't go to Jewish school because there are no Jewish schools here. So the place where I learned about Judaism, like the first things when I was really little, was my JCC, because they organized like some schools during weekend where we could like learn, and they still organize for holidays and stuff like that gatherings. And after I stopped going to JCC because usually small kids go there. After that, I started being a member of BBYO, where I learned a lot about Judaism and how other people practice it, and also inside my family. So yeah.
What about oh, pardon me.
No, please go for it.
I was also curious because Ellen, in Switzerland, like I actually know probably the least about Switzerland, so I'm kind of curious about how it is over there as well.
So here in Switzerland, I think in my town where I live, so there most of the people are Muslim. So we are like two families here. They're Jewish. So we have a next town near here. There are really a lot of Jewish people. So my identity I got from my parents. They gave it to me and they grew me up to the Jewish life. So I just started in my community with 12 years, and then I really learned how I learned. So I got my identity after that. But in my town, I really have more Muslim than Christian, I think. Yeah. So it was a little bit of hard here.
Do you think
Also,
do you think that makes you more proud of like being Jewish, or like makes it harder to take pride in it?
sorry, what?
Do you think that struggle being surrounded by Muslims makes it harder to be Jewish, or makes it easier for you?
It's harder. It was harder for me because there were so many Muslim, and but now I grew up with them. It's kind of easier now to live with them. But first, when they heard that I'm Jewish, it was kind of a shock for them. But after this shock, and they asked a lot of questions, and but after that, it was I think I grew up in a good town and city, so also with a lot of Muslims.
I totally understand you because it's the same in Serbia, just like almost everybody in Serbia is Christian Orthodox. So, um, yeah, I understand how it is to be surrounded with people who are not Jewish.
And it's funny because it's like the exact opposite. Here, about a 5-minute drive from me, there is a yeshiva and a mosque directly beside each other with an Orthodox community surrounding the yeshiva and then a Muslim community surrounding um, the mosque. And the communities like interconnect. Their houses are right beside each other. It's super cool, actually. I don't think there's many places in the world where you're going to find that, where you have two people who have a history of fighting with each other who are living in harmony with no problems at all.
That's amazing. And it's kind of like the same in Izmir. Like, you can find a mosque, and then after a walk of 5 minutes, you can find a synagogue. But the problem is, for example, the synagogue close to where I live, it's you wouldn't be able to differentiate it from a regular building if it weren't to have like some sort of a security in front of it. So, and I would also like to make a shout out for the people in my youth community because I think they're doing an amazing job because I think that we have to grow up so fast in order to keep the culture going on because what happens is we as like 17-year-old or 16 or 15-year-old teenagers are the ones responsible for the smaller ones education, Jewish education. So I think that is very important that what they do, and I would like to thank them one by one again.
So we have a question from Twitter user SmackTalker11. He wants to know, in your community, do you face anti-Semitism? What does anti-Semitism look like in your community?
In Canada, we don't face a lot of anti-Semitism. It's more of like we talk about it going on in other places, like in France, and we raise money like to help other Jews throughout the world. But anti-Semitism doesn't really happen on a big scale here. It might happen with like specific people, but it always gets resolved.
Yeah, can I go for this question?
Sure.
Okay. Oh yeah, so I think in the UK it's a bit, there is anti-Semitism, but I think it's passive. It's like, what I mean by that is like, so there are every year in the UK it's been projected that like there are a growing number of Muslims in the UK, and obviously not all these Muslims are like anti-Semitic, but it's going to the point where like they're like, for example, obviously it will remain unnamed. Someone got told off like wearing an IDF sweatshirt like by someone randomly in like a community center, or just like a service station. And I mean, over here it's quite verbal. There are rallies against Israel and what Israel are doing in the streets, like a lot. So not necessarily to the extent of what's going on in France, obviously, but it's becoming more of a thing, and it's not just passive, but like it's becoming more and more aggressive. And I mean, this is like another example. The school I'm going to is a huge Jewish school, and because of the recent events, I mean, the school already has huge security, like ridiculous amounts of security, because it's a Jewish school. But it's asking parents to donate to have more security beyond what the government's giving them, because it's needed, for just in case. So it's becoming a bit of an issue here. So like it's sort of a bit nervous as to what's happening, but like we still like keep strong as like the Jewish people over here.
That's amazing that you keep strong.
Well,
Okay,
sorry.
can I go?
Yeah.
Okay, so in Serbia, there isn't, like, of course there is anti-Semitism, and of course there are people who hate and stuff like that, but thank God, there are no big issues, because we don't have Jewish schools. We have synagogues, yes, but they're not working because we don't have rabbis, only one in capital. So, and there are not many Jews, so there is, I guess, like, no reason for anyone, like, to say that the Jewish people are a problem or something like that. But like, I personally faced anti-Semitism, I would say, from my friends. I mean, of course, they're not my friends anymore, but stuff like that happened, like jokes and yeah, but nothing serious. Thank God.
So only on a verbal basis, right?
Exactly.
Well, in Uruguay, sorry, can I go?
Go ahead.
In Uruguay, there is anti-Semitism, but it's not violent, and or that's what I thought until like when Israel was having trouble with Gaza, like teens that go to Jewish school had to hide their school uniforms, or because they were shouted at the streets, or there was a case where some kids like were attacked by others, they threw stones at them, but that's not normal in Uruguay. I don't know what happened when Israel was attacked.
Here's a fun fact. I'm not even sure. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So I received a question. I think it has a lot to do with this, and it's really interesting. A friend of mine asked me, "What are your thoughts on the phrase America is good for Jews, bad for Judaism?" And it made me think, well, while in America, I believe that means how Jews tend to thrive in many different respects in America, whether it be like economically or as we kind of hold back the violent anti-Semitism, and it's more verbal, less damaging to us. But it makes me think, regardless of if America is good for Jews, bad for Judaism, good for Judaism, how do all of you in other countries think of, like, not necessarily how it just affects you as a Jew, but is your country good for Judaism, or is your country maybe hurting it? What do you think?
Well, it's not good nor bad. It's like whatever, because there are not many Jews, so I don't know. I guess people here don't really pay attention.
Do you think you grow in it, though?
Could you repeat that?
Do you think that you, like, it affects Judaism in your country a certain way? Do you think it helps Judaism grow to some respect? Does that make sense? Like, it's so hard to be a Jew. Does that make you want to be a better Jew? Does that make your community?
Well, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to like stick to Judaism, but I guess at least for me, that's why it is even more interesting, and what makes me even more proud because I'm one of the few here.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just one thing about in regards to what Matt said, and I'd say yes. And like I said before, like it's like a famous actually like Jewish quote. It's a ner tamid, which is keeping the flame lit. So I think the smaller communities, I think they can sometimes thrive to be stronger within like a close-knit group because they know that like they are the only ones who can like carry on the tradition like to the next generation. So that's why it may be more relevant in like smaller communities to like keep it going and teaching it early.
So there's a question from Jessica Shandell. She wants to know, when there isn't a lot of Jews around you, how do you keep the people in your communities and the people in your organizations involved and motivated to be Jews, even when there isn't such a large community?
Oh my God, that's one of the biggest challenges that we face in Izmir, and I think it is safe to say that it is the biggest problem because like as long as you have some people attending the activities or the events that you're planning and you're doing, it's easy to show them that it's something fun. Like we do fun stuff. We don't bore people out because if we do, they'll stop coming. But we sometimes even don't have enough people to show that we're doing something fun and we're doing something good and enjoyable. So I think it is definitely very extremely hard to find people to come to the event and the collaborations in the community once there are not enough Jews.
Okay, so the next question we have is, through BBYO, many of you have had the opportunity to meet teens from across the world and learn about Jewish communities different than your own. How has this experience been like for all of you, and what impact has it had on your lives?
Well, before I joined BBYO, I never really met many people who are Jewish, especially those who don't live in my country. So after like going on summer programs and meeting international Jews, I learned how they live and how they practice their Judaism, which really motivated me to keep up with traditions and everything. And yeah, it really changed my perspective to Judaism.
Well, in Europe,
So, okay. I'm sorry.
1 minute, you.
Dana, you can go.
Okay, in Uruguay, we just started with BBYO, and we started by contacting teens from other parts of the world. And this made me interested in how Judaism is like performed in other countries and in other communities, and how does it work. And it really made me start like thinking about my own way to live Judaism, and I think that's great. Maybe.
Okay, so when I went to IC for the first time, like 3 years ago, like all my life I've been thinking that being Jewish was so easy everywhere because I've been Jewish my life and I've been in a Jewish community my whole life. So most of the people I knew were Jewish. So when I went to IC and discovered all these people that they wouldn't be able to, they weren't able to be Jewish like the whole time, or they didn't have Jewish schools, like they have to keep it as a secret and stuff. Like I was completely surprised because I thought it was easy for everyone to be Jewish. Like I could have never imagined how it was until I joined BBYO. So when I joined BBYO, it wasn't like I wanted to keep my Judaism alive, but I also wanted to do something with other people. Like I don't know, because it changed my mind completely, and it was like really strange to discover all those things. And I don't know.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's kind of like a double sort of question. So when I first initially joined BBYO, it was in Maryland in the US, and like up until this point, like until after my bar mitzvah, I had basically sort of like dropped out of Judaism for the next like 10 months, I'd say, between my bar mitzvah and when I actually joined back in 2012. And it's just like it's amazing. Like it's amazing like, to see the transition between different communities. Like coming to the UK and like I wasn't gonna join BBYO here because I was so used to how it was. But then I was like, you know what, I have to join. So like I joined, and BBYO is like the one common denominator in like my entire sort of like teenage years. It's been like the one common thing that stayed with me as I've moved, so it's like really special to me. You know, like seeing people in like different countries, like you make lifelong friends. Like I'm still really close with like everyone who I knew in like my chapter in the US. Like I still keep close with all of them. Like BBYO, like staying with the organization throughout like two different countries, like it like makes like my quality of life like so much better, and it's just like it's so great.
It's amazing.
So one of the
It's yeah, Lucy.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've really focused on this year is drawing the connections between things that we're all passionate about, such as Israel advocacy or community service, a range of things, and globalization and our global movement. Personally, being exposed to our global community was really inspiring to me because I've been able to draw connections between people who are just as passionate about Israel as I am, or just as passionate about programming as I am. And these connections are extremely special because they show that no matter where you live, we're all Jews, and we have the same roots, and we have the same connections that make us friends, no matter our cultures and no matter our traditions. We're all equal, and we're all together. We're all in this together, and we all have common goals, common ideas, and the common desire to move the Jewish people forward. And it's inspired me personally it's completely changed my Jewish identity. I deepened my Jewish identity, but it's also inspired me to be a better Jew and just to have a willingness to connect with the Jewish community across the world. And personally, I think that's one of the coolest things about globalization, about our global Jewish community, being able to draw those connections about deep passions that we have, and seeing the same deep passions that we have as teens from the other side of the world.
Randall, may I? I find it interesting what Sam said, because I can definitely find some agreement with that. Having went to a Jewish school, then bar mitzvahed, I kind of fell off fell out of the Jewish life for a little while, and as BBYO approached, it kind of rekindled that fire, brought Judaism back into my life. But to take it a step further, finding out about this idea of globalization, which by definition is a way of making the world a smaller place, and finding that out and joining the global movement, and finding out that there was a Jew that I would get to meet in Bulgaria or Switzerland or Serbia or Argentina or Uruguay or the UK, or what country did I miss? Canada. It's the most remarkable thing ever, and if that can't strengthen roots in Judaism, strengthen love for Judaism, I don't know what could.
I totally agree with that, because I think globalization has so much benefits for every kind of culture. It is so beautiful to share your cultures. And as to move on to our fifth question, in what ways has BBYO further connected you to the Jewish people, the Jewish community, and Israel? So, what connections did you receive by being more involved in BBYO?
Well, what was really something that connected me to Judaism and to Israel a lot, and happened with BBYO and with some of you, is RSI and the opportunity to go visit Israel for the first time with BBYO and with my friends, and spending Shabbat 3 times in Israel. One was in Tzfat and the other one was in Jerusalem, which was incredible experience. So, yeah.
Oh, ILSI was awesome. It rocked.
So for me, I think that one of the awesome things, and we say this and we kind of phrase it like this in the UK, BBYO, it sort of provides a lot of informal education. So it sort of connected me in the way that, like, we're not in BBYO, we're not necessarily forced to do things like Jewish related that we would otherwise sometimes find boring. Like BBYO sort of like spices it up a bit. So like, but you know, not just that. Like there's like tiny things that make like me feel a little more connected. Like for example, like if we're at synagogue and BBYO does a lot of the songs a lot differently, it gets you like more into it and stuff like that. And also like another thing that is really cool is in England after what BBYO does actually is after 10th grade you go to Israel in the summer. You go on an Israel tour. So it's not really like ILSI because with Israel tour, I don't think you do this with ILSI, but with Israel tour, you actually like you tour different parts of Israel. Like you go to different places like all over Israel, and then you it's sort of like camping, but it's for just under a month, and a lot of people do it, and like that's like an awesome thing that like connects like me. How BBYO is going to connect me to Israel.
Well, sorry.
Dana, please go.
Okay. I think that like by contacting Jews from different parts of the world, I started realizing how big Judaism is and how can I like be friends with someone that speaks another language and lives in another country just because of the fact that they are Jews and we have things like we have topics to talk about. For example, Israel. Like I have spoken with a lot of people about Israel, and I don't know, like it made me realize how big Judaism is and that there are things just like me, like in other parts of the world. And that's
So here, I have a lot of I have a family there in Israel. So the the connection between Israel and me, it's really big, strong. But I think the connection between me and other Jewish people from all over the world, it's getting better and stronger. Each like I'm with this partnership. I'm now 1 year in this partnership, but like every month I contact with new people all over the world. So this connection gives me really pleasure. So yeah.
So I think most of the people who have answered the question are thinking that BBYO has been an opportunity for them to further connect their Jewish with the Jewish population all around the world. As to move on to our sixth question, which BBYO experiences inspired you to become more involved in your Jewish community? So, for example, there are lots of programs that BBYO provides, such as IC, IL2C, CALA, ILSI ambassadors, or GNC, what we're doing right now. And how did this help you to get involved in your Jewish community more?
So in it actually started off at like a chapter level. It wasn't actually a summer program that sort of initiated sort of becoming more involved. So in my old chapter, it was called Simon Atlas. We had this thing that someone started called Mitzvah of the Month. And basically what we did each month is that we'd either do a road cleanup or volunteer at home or something like that. And it was just like a mitzvah that we do each month or community service action. And that sort of was part of the time when I started, you know, at school in America, you have to get a certain amount of community hours, but this was a way in which I was doing it, which I really enjoyed doing it with Jewish people and for like the betterment of the community. And yeah, and it sort of like inspired me to do more within my Jewish community, and that's like one of the reasons why I've chosen like to go on Ambassadors Bulgaria this year to, you know, find out more about, you know, the Jewish community like across the world. So yeah, that's how I found it.
For me, I guess it wasn't like same kind of idea. I've never been on a summer program or done anything internationally, but I guess like in my chapter, I first kind of came like just for like fun and to see like what was going on over there, and you kind of get like sucked in more than you're willing to, but like in a really good way. It's like I'm so happy that I'm there now. But to me, the main experience was when I first joined BBYO. I was also learning how to play guitar last year, and I found that like the song leading part of it really brought me in. Leading Havdalah, it's my absolutely favorite thing, and it kind of brought me back to Judaism since my bat mitzvah and kind of connected me more a little bit more.
Yeah, and when I went to ILSI this year, I found it very amazing because when actually my opinion is that the more the merrier. So lots of people on the ILSI, more Jewish teens that I've ever seen before in my life, and it was so good to hold hands together when the sun was going down and singing songs on Havdalah, and that definitely inspired me to do a lot more stuff in community. It gave me the opinion that if I tried hard enough, I could also turn those events into wonderful and amazing, miraculous events.
I totally agree with you about LSI and also all summer programs because they are all incredible experiences that, of course, encourage me to be more involved in Judaism. But I would also like to add that every regional program that I attended really like helped me learn more things about Judaism. And after each program, I somehow feel more connected to Judaism. And I think that it is also really meaningful.
So to me, I think the most amazing experience I've had was IC both years. But I think like I've also been to Kala and I've been on the GNC for 2 years. I'm not this year, but I think the one thing that I can like set aside from every single experience, like all the people I've met everywhere. So I think it's not the actual experience, but the people I got to know through those experiences and like the I don't know the whole thing, but the thing I love the most in every single BYO thing I do is the people I meet and share experiences with.
So you find it very amazing to meet with people who were interested in the same thing as you were, right? Melu?
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So did you find it very interesting to meet people who were interested in the same things as you were, right?
Yes, like what I like the most about the whole thing is the opportunity to meet new people and share my experiences. Like that's the one thing I love the most about BYO.
I understand. I share exactly the same feelings. And as a fun fact, I used to not like Israel before I went on ILSI. As to move on to our next and the last question, except for the questions of our audience, how has BYO inspired you to maintain a connection to Judaism beyond your high school years? So in this question, we're trying to talk about your future years. So do you see yourself as a Jew who practices and keeps the culture, or do you think that you'll just let go after you're out of BBYO?
All right, I'll go. So basically, yeah, I really do want to maintain, a strong sense of Judaism, like after like high school years. Like even it's in and out of BBYO. So like in BBYO, I want to be like basically what they call here bogrim, basically sort of people who lead like the BBYO camps over in the UK after they're finished with BBYO, and that's something I really want to do over here in the next 2-3 years. Um, and yeah, also like when I grow up and if I get married, if I have kids, like I really want to pass on that sense of Judaism, like especially if I'm in the UK, I want to like make sure I keep like the flame going and make sure like to spread like awareness of like keeping Judaism going to like people that I know.
I think that even after high school, I will stay involved in Judaism, because, like, through BBYO, I didn't only get connected to this organization and to, for example, my JCC, I got connected to the Judaism and Jewish people that I will stay in contact even after we finish our high schools and get out of BBYO. So I really think that I will like continue. Yeah.
I think that I will. Sorry, that. I think that I will continue with Judaism, but in one way that BYO has helped me, like, will help me to do that, is that the friends I've made with BBYO are people with whom I want to keep in touch in the next years. And I think that when I will be talking with them, I will remember that they are Jewish, and that's what connects us. And I think that that will bring us to there, and me with this as well.
I
So
think
I also belong to. Oh my God.
go,
I'm so sorry, Matt. You can
go,
go.
go, 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 go.
Okay, Mel, please go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I also belong to another organization in which I actually do BYO, which is Hebraica. So I will keep being a part of it because I'm a mother for little kids, and I love doing that because I love teaching them things through activities and stuff. So I will keep doing that. But I also like I said before, the one thing I'm gonna keep forever from BYO is the people I've met, and like I can actually already like I've already seen that because I made a friend who's not longer in BYO, and I saw him in Israel last year, even though he's not anymore from BYO. So it can actually be possible. So I think what I'm keeping from BYO until I don't know, forever, is all the people I've met, and I hope to be in touch forever.
Exactly. I think we can all agree on the fact that BBYO has helped us gain amazing friendships that will last forever. So I definitely agree with you.
Uh, I think to really sum that up in a bigger way, you know, what Mela said and what you said, Rana, it's once you make these connections, it, when you have the opportunity to do stuff like what's going on right now, or the Global Networking Committee, or just any way of connecting with people beyond your small community, what you growing up as a young person, that's really all you knew it was. You can't give that up when you become an adult, because as you become an adult, the the world has to be that small because everybody's connected, and to have that that had to have that experience and to know those people before you even get to the point when you really need them is magnificent, spectacular. So personally, I would say there's no BBY, rather Judaism will only become more prevalent in my life for that reason.
I find like I had an experience when I was on vacation this year that really I think sums up how connected BBYO is. I was on the beach, a girl was wearing a BBYO shirt, I woke her up and I spoke to her for about 3 hours straight, and like it's just like we're both Jewish, we're both part of this organization, and it just gives us so much to talk about with not even knowing each other, not even knowing each other's names or where we're from or anything. Just start talking and it just works.
Definitely. I think that's very true. And
I
so
think
yeah, go.
I think the connection you will do through the BBYO, you also will they will stay forever, and you always when you make a trip around the world, you always know there is somebody you can go and you can text. So I think that's a great thing about BBYO because you have all over the world you have truth where you can meet and text. That's I think that is a great opportunity from BBYO that you have the relationship like all over the world.
Yes, I think that's definitely true. I would like to thank everyone, and unfortunately, we have to wrap up this beautiful conversation now. I would have loved to talk to you a bit more, but unfortunately, we're out of time. So I would like to make a short summary of what this call has been about. So we tried to introduce you to many communities and different cultures and what are the difficulties that they're facing, what are the advantages of living in that certain community. And we tried to introduce you to these communities and to these cultures. And I think it went great, so I would like to thank everyone one by one, and I would like to also thank the audience because without you guys, we're definitely nothing.
So once again, I want to thank you all for joining us. We encourage you all to continue these conversations and develop these lifelong friendships outside of this call. As a thank you for joining us, we now have a special surprise for all of you. We will be releasing to you all the pre-order form for the Global Geek Frockets one day early. So please take a look at the graphic that is now on the screen to take a look at the links you need to buy your frocket. Please remember to fill out the IC survey by tomorrow, and we can't wait to see you all in Atlanta.
Everyone screenshot the picture so you have it.
Yeah, this will also be available. This YouTube link will also be available to rewatch at any point after this call. So feel free to share with all your friends. Please do share with your regions, your chapters, and your community. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We're 1,000 miles from comfort. We have traveled land and sea. But as long as you are with me, there's no place I'd rather be. I would away forever, exalted